STTP for sponsoring this program. Today, I start with as financial analytics when we say, so there are numerous tools available to analyze the financial statement, financial data, then big data analytics, where human intervention is not possible. So we use several tools. And the objective of this short-term training program is to bridge the gap between academia and industry and to train the budding managers who are studying in our institute. So innovative practices that we use is, so I started with one case study, that is the Satyam. So I relate it with the Enron and WorldCom, because if we compare these three scams, so all three scams related to the accounting fraud, but the nature of accounting fraud is different. And usually when we write a research paper or a PhD thesis, we do a compilation of research paper, review of literature. So now the trend is changing. If you are working on video-based case studies, so the same review of literature we are doing with the help of videos. So you have to collect those videos, we have to relate it with the content and give a real live feel in the classroom. So whether we take the case studies in classroom or in a virtual mode, like today, we are connected through Zoom. So how to give that real life experience? So I incorporated few videos also in this particular case analysis. And this entire analysis is based on the charge sheet filed by the CBI at that time. So the point that CBI identified the this particular case is, so on all those points, I developed this particular case. So to analyze it, this is what the clipping in the first slide on Economic Times and in other newspapers when this particular scam was open. So just a moment. I'm starting it with the small clip showing one very small clip related to Enron, what exactly that case is. Then another one is WorldCom, and then we discuss about the Satyam. So we can correlate it, the difference between these three scams if we compare the accounting frauds. So if we do analytics, so analytics on balance sheet, analytics of financial statements, so financial statement analytics, most of the companies were using ERPs, the best to best, world's best accounting firms involved in these scams. So we discuss about those areas also. So the first clip is related to Enron. I'm sure, is it audible?
No, sir, it is not audible. It is audible. It is audible, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Vivek sir, video is playing well, but sound is not coming. Audio is not coming.
Okay, just a moment, ma'am.
Yes,
just a
sure.
moment.
It had taken Enron 16 years to go from about 10 billion of assets to
yes, sir, it is audible now.
5 billion of assets, and it took them 24 days to go bankrupt.
Just an immediate sense of outrage at Lay and Skilling and Fastow when people realized how much they had profited and how completely artificial the appearance of this company had been.
That nobody could really understand, and in fact that many of Ken Lay's lieutenants questioned. They said this business can't be making this much money legitimately. Something weird is going on.
Mark-to-market accounting allowed Enron to book potential future profits on the very day a deal was signed. No matter how little cash actually came in the door, to the outside world, Enron's profits could be whatever Enron said they were.
Things that fascinated me was that almost all of the Wall Street analysts who covered Enron had buy ratings or strong buy ratings on the company's stock.
One analyst who didn't buy the company line became an enemy of Enron. Enron's CFO, Andy Fastow, had his eye on John Olson, one of the only analysts skeptical of the Enron story.
Enron loved analyst strong buy recommendations.
Merrill was informed by Fastow, either you get somebody who is on board with us and has a strong buy recommendation and loves us at the same time, or we don't do any business with you.
Merrill Lynch fired John Olson. Soon after, Fastow rewarded the bank with 2 investment banking jobs worth $50 million. His job was to cover up the fact that Enron was becoming a financial fantasy land. To please the boss, Fastow had to figure out a way to keep the stock price up by hiding the fact that Enron was $30 billion in debt. Enron was just stashing its debt in Fastow's companies where investors couldn't see it. LJM was Fastow's most ambitious creation. It would work magic for Enron, and it would allow Fastow to conjure $45 million for himself. Returns that would exceed 2,000%. 96 individual bankers invested in LJM, and America's major banks put up as much as $25 million each.
The Enron fraud is the story of synergistic corruption. There are supposed to be checks and balances in the system. The lawyers are supposed to say no. The accountants are supposed to say no. The bankers are supposed to say no. No one who is supposed
Sir, actually, I think it is some weak connection. That video got hacked. So participants, I think there is some technical glitch, so he'll be back in 30 seconds. So in the meantime, we are floating feedback forms for the session, which you are supposed to fill post this session, and respective feedback forms for all the respective sessions we are going to float, because your feedback on this STTP training program matters a lot. And also, I think, so keep checking your chat box for the related communication participants.
engaged in a loan.
California was selected by Enron as the prime place to experiment with this new concept of deregulated electricity.
Commodity that normally trades in the $35 to $45 range, high prices are when it gets in the 50s or $1,000.
Prices aren't going to stay at $1,000 forever. It weeds out the weak people in the market. Get rid of them, and you know what? The people who are strong will stick around.
Traders soon discovered that by shutting down power plants, they could create artificial shortages that would push
guys to get a little creative, and come up with a reason to go down.
Like a forced outage type thing.
Right.
West Coast traders made nearly $2 billion for Enron.
The differences between the state of California and the Titanic. At least when the Titanic went down, the lights were on.
In 2001, less than 4 months after Skilling's resignation, Enron declared bankruptcy. Enron's accounting firm, Arthur Andersen, had begun destroying its Enron files. Enron's accounting firm, Arthur Andersen, was convicted of obstructing justice. With its reputation for honesty destroyed, America's oldest accounting firm fell along with Enron, and 29,000 people lost their jobs.
Vivek sir, you are mute. Vivek sir, please unmute yourself.
Yes, it's okay. Yeah, please.
Yes.
Yeah. As this particular video is concerned, Enron is in a top Fortune 500 company, number one in the world as far as power generation is concerned, top 10 in Fortune 500. Basically, Enron started one project in India also in 91, 92 in Dabhol. And in 2002, this company collapsed. And there are two leading accounting firms of the world. One is Merrill Lynch and another one is Arthur Andersen. These are the two accounting firms who usually audit the accounts of Enron. So they created artificial hike in the derivative segment of Enron share prices by creating the hike in power prices, shutting down the power plants. So basically, if we analyze the case of Enron, it relates with the futures and options. In derivative segments, they created artificial hike in prices, whereas actual prices much lower than that. So they fabricated their accounts, and finally they collapsed in 2002. So this is what the Enron is. Another one is now the WorldCom. So let us see the nature of fraud in WorldCom. Then we discuss about the Satyam. So in Enron, the derivatives, the futures, the future price, hike in future price, created fabricated balance sheet, and later on, this company collapses in 2002, number one in the world as far as power generation is concerned.
It had taken Enron.
What if you lived your dream? Private jets, yacht clubs, breakfast in Paris, lunch on the Toms, and dinner in Spain. What if this guy is this guy? And what if someone told you you could be him? That this whole fantasy was really reality? Well, guess what? It can be. Meet Bernie Evers, normal guy born in Edmonton, Alberta, Bachelor of Phys Ed and doctorate in law. Guess his law degree didn't pay off so well, considering he's now serving a 25-year sentence for corporate securities fraud. He had it all. CEO of WorldCom, the largest telecommunications company this planet has ever seen. Evers was worth billions, but oh, how the mighty have fallen. In 2005, he and his company were reduced to nothing. Perhaps, if he'd taken COM 201, he'd have valued ethical decisions and understood basic accounting principles that could have kept him out of the slammer.
Unlike Enron and other monster accounting scandals, WorldCom was a series of amateur accounting violations. Basically, they capitalized their line costs on the balance sheet instead of recording them as expenses on the income statement. This inflated their net income and fooled their investors into thinking that the company was healthier than it actually was.
Here's how it works. Let's pretend you buy a truck. That's an asset worth, say, 20 grand. It's capitalized. Capitalize means to record as an asset and be able to amortize or depreciate in value over time. Now, let's presume you pump up your truck with gas for 60 bucks and drive around for the rest of the week. That gas is an expense. It's used up. It wouldn't be right to capitalize since the fuel is gone and you can't use it again in the future. It decreases your gross income by $60. Now, let's say you're a crooked person and want to cheat the system. Instead of recording the fuel as an expense, you could capitalize it, mark it down as an asset, instead. That way, the fuel wouldn't affect your income statement or your net income. That's what WorldCom did, only on a much bigger scale. They capitalized their long-distance line costs, which amount as the single largest expense for telecommunications companies, as prepaid capacity. Translation? They cheated. Big time.
The people in charge at WorldCom, like Evers, would tell his employees to make ridiculous journal entries that would throw millions of dollars into prepaid accounts. But then nothing would ever get delivered and nothing would ever get depreciated. How could this happen?
Arthur Andersen, one of the big 5 accounting firms at that time, was WorldCom's auditor. Andersen was just as devious and would sign off on annual reports to say everything was going smoothly over at WorldCom. They were supposed to be the unbiased third party who checked the books against generally accepted accounting principles to make sure the rules were being followed. Obviously, because these capitalization and expense errors are so simple to detect, Arthur Andersen had become corrupt too. There were no checks and balances, anywhere, so unsurprisingly, when WorldCom went down, Andersen sunk with it.
Thousands of people lost jobs, and not only that, they lost pensions and chances for other jobs, their futures. As for the executives, they tossed their freedom.
To date, WorldCom is the biggest corporate scandal in human history. It was built on pure greed, a blind greed that turned an eye when simple, amateur multi-million-dollar accounting entries were slipping by. So ask yourself again, what if you could live your dream? What if owning an island, meeting celebrities, jetting to Dubai for the weekend was as easy as toying with a couple COM 201 journal entries? What if your boss told you to do it? What if it could help the company or help the stakeholders? What if it could change your life? But then ask yourself, is it really worth it?
This is the case of WorldCom in the year 2002, the same year when Enron collapses. In both the companies, the accounting firm Arthur Andersen is common. So along with these two companies, the world's oldest accounting firm also collapses and shut it down their operations. So Arthur Andersen also. Now in WorldCom, we have seen again, Enron is number 1 in power generation. WorldCom is number 1 at that time as far as the telecommunication is concerned. And it was expected, in fact, in 2002, if WorldCom collapsed globally, internet services and other telecom services may be hit. Now, as we have seen in this particular case, the nature of accounting fraud is the amount or the expense that you have supposed to write it on your liabilities, you recorded those amount as an asset because these are the prepaid expenses. In an example they showed, if suppose you have a car in an asset side, then the fuel you are writing as a recurring expense. But if suppose you purchase a fuel in a bulk, if you noted down it in an asset side that yes, it's an asset for me, this is what the nature of fraud as far as WorldCom did, but in a larger scale. So in Enron, the derivatives, the future prices. In WorldCom, the accounting expense recorded in a wrong manner. In both the companies, the accounting audit firm, Arthur Andersen, is common, so collapses along with these two. And these two companies didn't exist as far as 2021 is concerned. Now we have to talk about the Satyam in detail. What exactly the Satyam case is, because Satyam is also related with these two companies. Satyam is in 2008 and these cases is in 2002. Whenever we analyze any case study, the first and the foremost thing is the management background. Who is the management in that particular company? What exactly the intention, their past? So these are the basics that we analyze, and we find it even in Enron and WorldCom case, these things are very strong. The same way, now, the Satyam. I'll share one small video clip, because when this particular case opened, at that time, what news channels, because in India, what happened? One analysis is done by the government agency and another analysis is done by the media. So what exactly media is showing at that time in their news?
बड़ी खबर आ रही है। करीब 14,000 करोड़ के सत्यम घोटाले में हैदराबाद की विशेष अदालत का फैसला आ गया है। सत्यम के संस्थापक और पूर्व चेयरमैन बी रागलिंगम राजू समेत 10 लोगों को कोर्ट ने फैसला सुनाया है। 10 लोगों के खिलाफ और दोषी करार दिया है। रामालिंगम राजू मुख्य आरोपी सत्यम घोटाले का, जिनके खिलाफ कोर्ट का फैसला आ गया है, दोषी करार दिया है। 10 आरोपी फिलहाल दोषी करार दिए गए हैं। 14,000 करोड़ का सत्यम घोटाला 2008 में सामने आया था। बहुत बड़ा घोटाला जिसने कई दिन तक जिससे बवाल मचा रहा, कई लोगों के पैसे डूब गए। पूर्व चेयरमैन रामालिंगम राजू समेत 10 लोगों को कोर्ट ने दोषी करार दिया है। इस वक्त बड़ी खबर आ रही है। ये बड़ी खबर, ये बड़ा घोटाला, सत्यम कंप्यूटर्स का यह घोटाला 2008 में सामने आया था और आज कोर्ट का ये फैसला आया। रामालिंगम राजू समेत 10 लोगों को दोषी करार दिया है कोर्ट ने। आपको बता दें कि हैदराबाद की विशेष अदालत में यह मामला चल रहा था। हैदराबाद की विशेष अदालत।
Now, this is what the news at that time. Now let us see the flashback transcript of Satyam. What exactly the Satyam is at that time. So Satyam Computer Company Services Limited was incorporated in 1987. Promoters holding of the share in 92 was 18.78%. Main business of the company was IT related field, and it came into prominence after Y2K problem. In 91, it was in rented house having 10 engineers. Company was listed in Bombay Stock Exchange in 1992. Company bagged its first Fortune 500 client, John Deere and Company. Company formed a joint venture with Dun and Bradstreet for IT services. Listed in NASDAQ US in 1999. Listed on New York Stock Exchange in 2001. Revenue crossed $1 billion in 2006. Ramalingam Raju got the Ernest and Young Entrepreneur of the Year award in the year 2007. Revenue crossed $2 billion in 2008. This is what the transcript of Satyam till 2008, because in 2008 December, this particular scam opened. Till 2008, this is what the transcript of Satyam. Now let us see the board of directors of the Satyam, because it was said, जो board of directors था सत्यम का, वो उस समय का one of the strongest board of directors थे जो किसी भी Indian company में हो सकते थे. Now let us see the board of directors and their qualification and their backgrounds. So this is what the composition of the board of director, B. Ramalingam Raju himself. He got commerce degree from Loyola College and headed to Ohio University, US for MBA. He's a vice chairman of NESCOM, chairman of IT committee in FICCI, awarded Corporate Citizen of the Year Award 2002, IT Man of the Year Award 2001, and he was the chairman of the company. B. Ramaraju, he was the co-founder and MD of the company. MA Economics from Loyola College, Chennai, and MBA from Laredo State University, Texas, US, and he is the younger brother of Ramlingan Raju. Other board members, Ramarao, he was an IAS officer. He was a member of Satyam's board. Mrs. Mangalam Srinivasan, he was a member of board since July 91, a senior fellow at Harvard University, expert in international financial management. Vinod Kedham, he was on the board from 2003, an inventor of Pentium chip. Krishnaji Pilepu, he was a member of board from January 3, professor of business administration at Harvard School and expert in corporate governance. M. Mohan Rao, he was dean of Indian Business School, Hyderabad, and expert in corporate finance and financial derivatives. He was appointed in the board in July 2005. The other board members is Mainama Sati. He was inducted on the board as whole-time director in August 6. He was in charge of half of the sales portfolio of the company. Sales is the main front from where this scam begins. V.S. Raju, he was appointed as director in April 2007. He was chairman of DRDO and director of the IIT Delhi. T.R. Prasad, he was appointed as member of the board in April 7 and was the ex-cabinet secretary government of India. So this is what the board of Satyam. So as far as the board is concerned, one of the strong board, qualification-wise, experience-wise, exposure-wise. So on all fronts, we find that as far as the board is concerned, really deserve as the height that Satyam touches at that particular point of time. Now, what are the brief facts as this particular case is concerned? ये केस कैसे ओपन हुआ? इस केस के brief facts क्या थे? So now let us see those facts. The case was initially registered by CBCID Andhra Pradesh on January 9, 2009, on complaint received from Srimati Leela Manga, a retired employee of Syndicate Bank, stating that she had invested her retirement benefit for purchase of the shares of the company. On seeing the performance of the company, she purchased 100 shares for a sum of rupees 19,000. She filed the complaint after the confession letter of the chairman made public. We'll share these documents, whoever the participant of this particular workshop, will share the document related to this case study so you could understand in a better manner the cases. Then the case was handed over to CBI on February 16, 2009 by Government of India. This is what the confession letter. So in this confession letter by B. Ramlingan Raju was submitted to SEBI, Bombay Stock Exchange, and to the Board of Directors on January 7, 2009, which stated that balance sheet as on 30th September 2008, cash and bank balance, interest accrued on fixed deposits, debtors were overstated and liabilities were understated. Company inflated operating profit. The gap in balance sheet was on account of inflated profit shown over a period. This is what the precise summary of that confession letter was, what exactly he want to convey. And later on in this case, we discuss about what exactly the facts and figures that is reflected in balance sheet, but actually those figures were fraud figures. Then why confession letter? Whistleblower email dated 18/12/2008 from Joy Abraham to Mr. Krishna J. Palepu and subsequently circulated other board members, wherein misdeed of the chairman company was narrated. Subsequently, Hemant Kothari, non-executive chairman of DSP Merrill Lynch Limited, after having discussion with Ramlingan Raju, forced him to confess, as during the discussion it was revealed that there was a big hole in the balance sheet. Now, when this confession letter was submitted, at that time, there is a message. I just want to show that first.
I am shocked and distressed by the disclosures coming from the organization today. I can certainly understand and empathize with the pain that every one of you would be going through based on the events of today. The board has requested that I assume the role of the interim CEO to ensure the sustenance of the operations of the organization. The board will meet as scheduled on 10th of January to discuss the issues that we have already communicated as well as actions emanating from the events of today. The most important thing I believe we need to address is the interest of the stakeholders, our associates, our customers, and the suppliers. The entire senior management team has come together not only to assess the impact of the disclosures, but also take specific steps to ensure continuity of our operations. I'm confident that with the senior management team with me, we would be able to quickly put the issues behind us and ensure continuity of our operation.
This is what the statement released by the Satyam at that time and appointed an interim CEO of Ram Mayanapatti. But within 3 days, government removed from his position and appointed an independent board of director for Satyam. So this is what the video at that time. Now, what are the facts and figures mentioned in the confession letter? The facts and figures are there. The brief discretion: inflated non-existent cash rupees 5,040 crores. So balance sheet is showing this cash, but ये actual में exist नहीं करता था. Accrued interest 376 crore नहीं था. Understated liability of 1,230 crores. Overstated debtors position rupees 490 crores. Operative margin 24% as against the actual of 3%. Then every attempt, this is what the statement made by Ramalingam Raju, every attempt made to eliminate the gap failed. It was like riding a tiger, not knowing how to get off without being eaten. Then aborted. Maita's acquisition deal was the last attempt to fill the fictitious assets with real ones. Neither he nor the MD took any money from the company. Board of directors were not aware of the fraud. So this is what the brief summary of the confession letter. And the day this confession letter out, at that time in media, the news headline after this is, it relates with Indian Enron, because in 2002, Enron or WorldCom happened. So they relate it with Indian Enron because in Enron also the same accounting fraud, and then finally Enron collapsed. So what exactly that clip is?
Okay, but first the big admission that has shaken India's corporate world. It's being called India's worst case of corporate fraud. Once a poster boy for the IT world, today the culprit, Satyam chairman Ramalinga Raju, resigned from his post this morning after confessing that he forged and inflated the company's accounts for several years.
Well, Raju admitted that Satyam's balance sheet had been inflated and forged to the extent of 7,136 crores. He said he'd been cooking the books for several years. He said none of the board members were aware of this. Department of Company Affairs now says it will probe Satyam, but it will also probe its auditors, in particular PricewaterhouseCoopers.
I, in my memory, haven't seen a corporate scam from any large cap index stock of this magnitude.
I think this is unbelievable. It's like Ripley's Believe It or Not.
It's India's Enron, a 5,000 crore rupee fraud that's shaken corporate India, deeply denting the image of India in the global market and eroded the credibility of the IT industry, which sells on good corporate governance. Satyam itself having won several awards for that. Today, Satyam chairman Ramalinga Raju has left that reputation in a shambles, quitting the company with this letter, in which he has admitted to fudging Satyam accounts for years. He inflated the balance sheet to show 5,040 crore rupees which never existed, and falsified the company's financial position and performance. Raju has said that he is now ready to face the law. Angry shareholders will want to see him suffer. Andhra Pradesh has already ordered an investigation. The SEBI too is calibrating its action.
This is an event of horrifying magnitude, and it is the first of this kind. So I'm sure we'll have to learn a few lessons from this as we get to the facts. We are also in touch with the stock exchanges to see what will be the appropriate action.
Whoever is found guilty in this particular case, action according to law would be taken against them.
And Raju will have to face the Americans too, since Satyam is listed in the US. The question is not just how and when Ramalinga Raju will be prosecuted, but how India Inc. will repair the damage to its credibility.
I'm surprised, I'm shocked. It's a scandal, it's a fraud of this proportion, and I don't think anyone expected this out of Satyam Computer.
The upcoming Davos conference, I have been nominated as one of the co-chairs, and the first thing that struck me was, you go in almost defensively because clearly you're not going in to project India shining.
The role of independent directors and auditors on Satyam is now under the scanner. The fear is that this could be the first of many more skeletons inside corporate cupboards. In New Delhi, Karma Paljor.
This is what the news briefings at that time. Now, this is the area covered for investigation by CBI when they registered the case against Satyam. Management information system, manpower management, sales, cash and bank balances, selling of shares, role of statutory auditors, role of internal auditors, board of directors, purchase of land, floating of 327 companies, fake companies, then acquisitions and income tax liability. So these are the areas where CBI investigated. And in this case also, we covered all these points. And in these points, what exactly the mismanaged or the frauds that they commit, how they overlap the ERP systems. So the first and the foremost thing is the management information system, then manpower management. So first we cover the manpower management, and then gradually each and every point that we are discussing here in this case. Manpower management, there were always excess manpower to the extent of 10,000. Means 10,000 लोग रोल कॉल पे थे नहीं, but 10,000 लोगों को salaries pay की जाती थी. Recruitment was done not in tune with the actual sales. Usually what happens, whenever a IT company recruit manpower, they recruit on the basis of the clients that they have, the solutions that they are providing to their clients. On the basis of that, they generate the manpower requirement, and accordingly they recruit the manpower. But here in Satyam, it's not like that. Promoters published loading factor, which was highly inflated. Loading factor means in IT industry, it was mentioned, average loading factor offshore was 62.02, published was 74.88, on-site 94.86, published was 96.76. The total manpower used to provide a particular solution, total hours, that hours is divided by the manpower hours that you have, and accordingly manpower need is calculated. So this is mismatch in Satyam. Then more than 3/4 of the expense of the company was on manpower. There was concept of distributed leadership and control of expense on manpower was found to be lag. So these are the flaws on manpower management. I'm skipping the few videos because in this case, I collected at that time when this case was open. So what exactly Satyam employees were thinking? Because usually what happens whenever any such scam happens or opens, especially in intellect industry. So IT is intellect industry, where the industry is known because of its manpower, because the solutions that they are providing. And if suppose this particular manpower move from your industry to other industry, so obviously that company collapses. But here, that trust level is maintained. So how they are able to retain the employee, because this is something very big is going on in company at that time. This is related to employees speak out.
53,000 employees, Satyam's silent majority, have so far not spoken at all as they blog on the net and talk amongst themselves about what's going to happen to their jobs. But now a cross-section of them have spoken out to NDTV prophets Tuhina Pandey. They said they still believe in the Satyam dream.
Employees, they're still working hard hours, they're still delivering tough deadlines, and we have in fact some of them to talk to us.
I'm with the quality team here. Yeah.
So last 3 weeks since December 16th, life has changed?
To some extent, yes, because I think what has happened is out there in front of you, and we want to leave that behind and go ahead. We have restored to a great extent business as usual.
Then the next part of investigation is management information system. So actual figures not known to business head as far as the sales is concerned. MIS was filtered by the management. No linkage between actual sales with investor link figures, publishing inflated sales in investors link. Then monthly reviews were done on a standalone basis. Then none of the business leaders tried to match the difference between sales in investors link and actual sales. Then targets of business heads were fixed on a standalone basis. Oracle financial system was not used for generation and analyzing the MIS. Now, how exactly they are manipulating this on their sales? So this is what there were two methods of generating invoices in the company. One is regular application flow, and another one is the Excel porting. So regular application flow, this is what basically the how the ERP of that particular company is working, especially in IT sector. So regular application flow, the billing advice raised in PBMS was ported to IMS. I'll tell you what exactly these prefix means in the next slide. In the form of partial consolidated bill, and then the invoice was raised by the invoice team in IMS. There was a real-time and online connection between PBMS and IMS. This was the procedure that is to be adopted for generation of invoicing from the date of installation of IMS, that is April 2003. If the invoice was generated through this application, the same would have accessible and viewed by project managers, business circle, quality control managers, and FIC. Means in each and every place, the role is well defined. Now, what exactly the task is supposed to play by the different person. Second method of generating invoices, Excel porting. This was an option which existed in the IMS application to port partial consolidated bills through the procedure called Excel porting. This option was put in place to meet the emergency requirements to raise invoices bypassing the regular application flow. सत्यम में सबसे ज्यादा एक्सेल पोर्टिंग को यूज किया गया. Now, इसका फ्लो चार्ट क्या था? This is what the flow chart. Optimize operational real-time management. SPR is Satyam project repository. Then on-time calculation of efforts put in. Then PBMS is project billing management system. Then IMS is invoice management system. Shine is Satyam Human Resource Information Network. OF is the Oracle Financial. So this is what, as far as this, SPR, Optima, Shine, then on-time, PBMS, IMS. Now see Excel porting and Oracle Financial. So previous जितने भी lags थे उनको सबको मिस कर दिया. So Excel porting facility was provided for bypassing the regular flow of invoices generation for emergency case. However, this facility was misused extensively. The invoices inserted through Excel porting did not contain any trail up to PBMS. जो ट्रेलिंग नंबर्स होते हैं वो इसमें नहीं होते थे जो एक्सेल पोर्टिंग से किया जाता था. Normal course, whenever a purchase by a customer, the concerned business relation manager send the details through the FIC of a business circle to Optima, and the same is sent to Satyam project repository, where the FIC and associate in charge of the circle approve the project कि सत्यम इस डोमेन में काम कर सकता है या नहीं कर सकता है. तो उसने उसको अप्रूव द प्रोजेक्ट, एंड आफ्टर अप्रूवल a unique serial number called the project ID gets generated in Satyam project repository, that is SPR. Then details regarding associates are provided by another application called Shine, that is Satyam Human Resource Information Network. ठीक है, कितना मैन पावर लगेगा इसको कंप्लीट करने में. Then Optima forward the details to on time, that is calculation of efforts, manpower efforts put in, where the manpower required is calculated and the billing on the customer get decided. ये पता लगेगा कितना manpower hour लग रहा है और उसके बेस पे बिलिंग डिसाइड होती थी और होती है. यूजुअली दिस इज द प्रोसेस इन ईच एंड एवरी आईटी कंपनी. फ्रॉम देयर it moved to next application, that is PBMS, that is Project Billing Management System. In PBMS, a bill is generated with unique serial number and detail of the associates, their effort in terms of manpower, amount per hour against each associate, total number of such associates along with the period, and finally a bill is raised in PBMS. Then this bill is exported to IMS, that is Invoice Management System, and the same get consolidated in IMS, and the consolidated bill is generated with a unique serial number. Based on this consolidated bill, a final invoice is generated to be sent to the customer. The invoice contains details of total amount, name of the customer, project ID, project name, purchase order, etc. Then these invoices are ported to the Oracle financials, and as and when payment are received, they get adjusted, and if the payment are outstanding, then the same are shown as debtors. This is what the usual process as far as sales process is concerned, and this is a general process that is applicable in each and every IT company. बट सत्यम में एक्सेल पोर्टिंग से प्रीवियस जितने भी वो था उसको आपने स्किप कर दिया था. नाउ हाउ दे मैनिपुलेटेड. Excel porting facility was provided for bypassing the regular flow of invoices generation for emergency case. However, this facility was misused extensively. The invoice inserted through Excel porting did not contain any trail up to PBMS. उनमें प्रीवियस वो होता ही नहीं था. अब आप बताइए, जो कंपनी के इंटरनल ऑडिटर्स थे, जो एक्सटर्नल ऑडिट कंपनी थी, दैट इज PwC, प्राइस वाटर हाउस कूपर, उन लोगों ने जब इनको चेक किया इनवॉइसेस को, तो ट्रेलिंग नंबर्स क्यों नहीं चेक किए गए? दिस इज व्हाट वन ऑफ द पॉइंट in this investigation. Neither internal auditor nor external auditor pointed out this particular area. Now, this is what the process, normal course, whenever a purchase, this is, I already discussed about it. Then technical manipulations. Technical manipulation, IMS application played the various role like admin role, superior user role, FIC role. Usually in any ERP, the administrative hierarchy is defined. So accordingly, in Satyam also, this hierarchy is defined like an admin role, superior user role, FIC role. The admin role was having absolute right. IMS application was having superior user role. And with this, invoices can be hide and unhide. This is the right that this person is having. The hidden invoice is not visible to all except few users who have superior user role. The invoices were divided into two parts, H and S. H stands for hide and S stands for show. But the fictitious invoices were generated under S by swapping the role of H and S. This facility was incorporated as the instance of G. Ramakrishna, who was a process owner. Now, when this CBI inquiry is going on, they are doing. So like in India, what happens? Media has also started their parallel investigation. So on these front, where CBI is doing their inquiry, at that time, yes, media also started. How were accounts fudged at Satyam?
Exactly did Satyam fudge the books for amounts that were so large? This company employs 50,000 plus people, and it said it had 5,000 crores of cash when it only had a few hundred. How was this possible? What were the details? Haris Usman of NDTV digs further into the details. Let's hear the story.
The emperor has no clothes, but he claims he's the only one who knew. Not possible given the complexities of maintaining an account. So how exactly did Raju hoodwink the country? Here's how he did it.
Fraud can occur at any stage of invoicing depending who wants to perpetrate the fraud. So for example, if let's say a business head wants to perpetrate the fraud, he would then show that as if his people have been utilized at a higher level.
How could the veil of deceit have been constructed for sales and profits to keep rising? Fraud could have been done through invoicing or transactions with shell or unknown overseas entities, which means billing would have inflated sales, and this could have also inflated debtors. Payments could have been received from the entity and reversed through Hawala transactions. This led to a creation of higher reserves than assets, and the Matas deal was proposed to fill this void. But what's more intriguing is how the cash and bank balances could have been fudged. There are many possibilities here. The foolproof option is to inject cash before the reporting day. Some variation can also be explained with unbanked checks. The second, statements for liquid funds or fixed deposits were forged and duplicated, since most cash or bank entries are checked by juniors and audit firms. The third, auditors colluded with the management. The fourth, less likely though, was that the banks colluded as well. The other possibility gaining some acceptance is that the money was siphoned off only in the past few months, and even intercompany transactions are under scrutiny.
I would say at some level the role of Metas will be looked at also, and how what were the transactions between Satyam and Metas? Were there any transactions whatsoever, either directly or through some intermediary individuals or other companies?
The money in the books is not real. The clients may not have existed. But Ramalinga Raju could not have done this alone, and this was not a game of solitaire. So his associates and himself would have known what they were doing, maybe even when the declaration came. And the cash that wasn't could have still filled someone's pockets. In New Delhi, Haris Usman for NDTV.
So this is how parallel the media trial is going on at that time. So they are also investigating on the points where CBI is doing their investigation. Here, we are using one more term, forensic finance. When we talk about financial analytics, so nowadays this forensic finance is becoming more and more important. So this was the case in Satyam in India, especially when we talk more about the forensic finance or forensic finance analytics. The word we derive obviously from the medical field, where we talk about the forensic finance, forensic science. So here we talk about the forensic finance. So we are doing the same analysis as far as this particular case is concerned. Now, this is what the fictitious sales is. There are two methods we already discussed. One is invoice generated through Excel porting, actual development of the product. So actual development product hota tha uska invoice, or fictitious generation through Excel voting. Now, period from 1/4/2003 to 31/12/2008, 7,561 invoices were found to be fake invoices. All these invoices were directly inserted in IMS through Excel voting. So 7,561 fake invoice the. The value of the fake invoice was rupees 5,118 crores. मतलब ये पैसा कंपनी फ्रॉड वे में दिखा रही थी, उसके पास आया कहां से, आपने आता हुआ दिखाया। 10,000 एम्प्लॉय जो आपके यहाँ नहीं थे, उनको आप सैलरी में और अदर एक्सपेंस में इस पैसे को जाता हुआ भी दिखा रहे थे। It had fraudulently entered 6,631 false invoices into the receivable module of Oracle Finance, amounting to rupees 4,766.20 crore. These invoices were having the status of S, which actual mean should be visible, but they got it changed to hide. वहां एस दिखा रहे थे, लेकिन एक्चुअल में उसको रिप्लेस कर दिया था ईआरपी में, और उसको शो नहीं कर रहे थे, उसको हाइड कर रहे थे। The false invoices were generated with the help of super user facility. Particular set of people used to generate the fictitious invoice during the odd hours towards the end of the month or quarter. The fictitious invoice were not visible to all. Possibility of viewing these invoice by the key person choose not to access through off. Key persons were aware of invoices generated without the purchase order. इनका कोई purchase order था ही नहीं और invoice generate कर दिया था इसको. Then actual development of the product हुआ ही नहीं क्योंकि actual invoice नहीं था. Execution of project in the name of non-existing 7 customers, that is Mobitel, Cellnet, eCare, Sinoni, North Sea, Autotech, and Hargreaves. These are the name of the customers जो fake थे. MD asked the business head to develop the product, stating that customer will be introduced subsequently. Without the purchase order, products were developed and revenue was recognized. Product after development is still with the company. Fictitious mails were generated as if it originated from these customers. The domain was created in Rediff and mails were sent. 63 invoices were raised having value rupees 430.66 crores. The company had booked rupees 31.18 crore as exchange profits on account of fictitious sales during the fraud period. Exchange profit जो currency exchange के कारण जो profit हुआ वो भी उसने अपनी fictitious sales में दिखाया था. Now, corporate governance. In this case, all the directors were sponsored by B. Ramlingan Raju. The audit committee members were not serious in analyzing the financial position of the company. The directors were failed to perform their duties. The director got handsome remuneration, stock options at rupees 2 against the market price of rupees 500 at that time. 500 का शेयर 2 रुपए में दिया था stock option में. The directors acted as rubber stamp and not even in a single dissent note was recorded. The same thing we have seen even in case of Enron also, when the analysis or the video we have seen, there also the same thing is there. Meetings were conducted in perfunctory manner. In the meeting, the promoters were always present to influence the decision. There was not open discussion. Now, the question arises, what exactly this company is doing? Like, इस पैसे को विड्रॉ करके ले कहां जा रहे थे, किस तरीके से, और इसको पूल अप करने के लिए क्या प्लान थे कंपनी के? So,
hired company.
Purchase of land by company and promoters. 6,000 acres of land purchased by 327 front companies. Promoter also purchased land and flats. Land Ceiling Act was circumvented by floating the companies. Proceed of sale of share and receipts of the dividend were used for purchase of the land. Land were purchased in the name of the close relatives also. Majority of land was agriculture land. Land purchase were spread over Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Bangalore, and Nagpur. Number of properties acquired between 10/4/99 to 36/2005 was 425, having 1,224.77 acres, and between 1/7/2005 to 31/12/2008 were 444 properties, having 4,523.3 acres. The consolidated number of properties acquired during this period was 935, having 5,757.30 acres of rupees 3,454.91 crores. Now, on the basis of charge sheet, Directorate of Enforcement has started attachment of the property purchased out of the proceed of crime under Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002 of the properties acquired with effect 2005. The properties acquired from the date of the crime to 2005 mapping of properties under Criminal Law 94, 100 properties having value of rupees 3 crore has been mapped. Then loan taken from various banks and companies. The company has availed short-term loan and advances from bank and institutions during the period between 2000 and 2008 on the basis of false and fabricated board resolutions, and majority of the loans were not shown in the books. They have taken loan from HDFC, HSBC, Citibank, BNB Paribas, ICICI, FinCity, and LM Investment Private Limited. The company had paid interest of 37.62 crore and availed 1,493.84 crore loan from bank without accounted in the books. Then manipulation of Bank of Baroda's New York branch. Loan taken from bank and its companies were not shown in the books. However, equivalent amount was shown as amount being transferred from the account maintained at Bank of Baroda's New York. The fictitious sales were reported as realized and showed as deposited in the account of company maintained with Bank of Baroda's New York branch. The role of external auditor. Again, it's a question mark because role of external auditor and internal auditor, these things are going on in a company from last 8 years and nobody has pointed out. So the auditor did not confirm the bank balance independently. मतलब क्या हुआ इसका? कंपनी ने बैंक बैलेंस अपनी बुक्स में दिखाया, ऑडिटर को उसको बैंक से टैली करना चाहिए था एक्चुअल बैंक में जाके वेदर बैंक में उतना बैलेंस है कि नहीं. बैंक में वो बैलेंस नहीं था, कंपनी अपनी बुक्स में वो बैलेंस दिखा रही थी. यहाँ एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटर के ऊपर क्वेश्चन मार्क था. द वेरियस प्रोटोकॉल्स वेयर वायोलेटेड. 2 सेट ऑफ कंफर्मेशन, मतलब आपको 2 जगह से कंफर्म करना चाहिए था किसी भी चीज को, वो नहीं किया था. नो सैंपल चेकिंग ऑफ इनवॉइसेस. आप सैंपल रेंडमली कुछ इनवॉइस चेक करते और उसको एंड टू एंड वेरीफाई करते कस्टमर तक, बट 8 साल में एक भी इनवॉइस को वेरीफाई नहीं किया. लाइबिलिटी अगेंस्ट टैक्स नॉट रिपोर्टेड. अगर इतना टैक्स की लाइबिलिटी हो रही थी तो वो रिपोर्ट करना था. देन एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी पेमेंट ऑफ ऑडिट फीस. नॉट वेरीफाइंग द accrued interest on fake fixed deposits. जो फिक्स डिपॉजिट एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करता था. अगर आपने फिक्स डिपॉजिट की रिसिप्ट थी तो आप बैंक से वेरीफाई करते वेदर दीज डिपॉजिट्स आर देयर विद बैंक और नॉट. 8 साल में एक भी फिक्स डिपॉजिट नहीं था. नॉट वेरीफाइंग द टीडीएस ऑन एक्रूड इंटरेस्ट. देन नॉट डूइंग एंड टू एंड ऑडिट. एंड टू एंड ऑडिट मींस आपके पास जो इनवॉइस आया है वो कस्टमर को डिलीवर तक, उसके पेमेंट रियलाइजेशन तक आपको सारी स्टेप्स उसकी चेक करनी चाहिए रैंडमली, बट एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटर ने ये नहीं किया. नॉट डूइंग एंड टू एंड. देन सिस्टम वेयर फाउंड टू बी लैक एंड सेम वाज नॉट टेकन अप फॉर रेक्टिफिकेशन. नाउ व्हाट रोल इंटरनल ऑडिटर्स प्लेड? द ऑडिटर डिड नॉट डू बिगिनिंग टू एंड ट्रांजैक्शन वेरिफिकेशन. कैश एंड बैंक बैलेंसेस वे आर नॉट वेरीफाइड फ्रॉम दी बैंक. आपकी बुक जो बोल रही थी उसको बैंक से वेरीफाई करते. फेक इनवॉइसेस वेयर इग्नोर्ड, क्योंकि इनवॉइस में जब ट्रेलिंग नंबर्स नहीं थे तो उसको वेरीफाई क्यों नहीं किया. द मैटर वाज नॉट रिपोर्टेड टू ऑडिट कमेटी. The audit plan were prepared on the basis of approval of the promoter. Then serious findings of the auditing team were ignored by the audit team leader. So these are the false. Then auditor did not follow the minimum protocols. The connection to Oracle financials was disconnected and it was not taken up for connectivity. Mr. VPS Gupta, who himself is a chartered accountant, was given a stock option and offload the share and receive rupees 5.30 crore. The company switched the process audit from the transaction-based audit. However, end-to-end verification was not done even for samples selected on the basis of random sampling. The auditors were not faithful to promoters rather than to the company. Then floated 327 companies. Now, this is again a question mark on the agencies. The companies were divided into three groups. Group 1 owned by Ramlingan Raju and his family, 2 owned by Surya Narayan Raju and his family, 3 owned by Raman Raju and his family. There were 12 addresses of 327 companies. केवल 12 address थे, उन पे ये 327 companies registered थे. The relative and loyal employees were directed in these companies. By these companies, the promoter had purchased land, layered fund, borrowed the money against the shares for Satya. The company had taken rupees 1230 crore loan from the front company, and these were not shown in the books. The loan amount were used for payment of salaries, acquisition and payment of dividends. The amount of loan were raised against the shares of the promoter. Then misappropriation of funds. In India, money was diverted to customers not having dealings with them. In overseas, the amount were paid to the companies who were not having dealing with the company, and the amount were diverted to British Virgin Islands. An amount of $0.666 million was paid to Mebicatos on 2 occasions of $0.3 million each. The stock worth $0.001 per share was purchased at a premium of $1, which was almost 1,000 times more than the face value. This is what the acquisition company is showing in the books on overvalue of that particular company. 0.001 per share था, उसको $1 per share आप pay कर रहे हैं. This is what company is doing at that time. The company has diverted rupees 154.40 crore to Global Networking Solution, Infotech Solution, Alpha Software and Tech Consultants Limited during 1999 to 2002 and was not accounted in the books. All the companies were not having commercial deals with the company. Rupees 390 crore out of the proceed of ADR used for repayment of loan not reflected in the books. Now, what exactly this company is planning? ये जो deficit था fund का, इसको plan क्या किया था? इसको pull up कैसे करने का सोचा था? Proposed acquisition of Mitas India Limited and Mitas Properties Limited company tried to purchase MPL and MIL to fill the gap of hole in the balance sheets. Overvalue करके इन दो कंपनी को acquire करने का प्लान था. अगर इन दो को acquire कर लेते तो fictitious values दिखा देते और जो गैप आ रहा था बैलेंस शीट का वो फिल अप हो जाता सत्यम में. Valuation was not done properly. इन दोनों कंपनीज का वैल्यूएशन प्रॉपरली नहीं था. कैसे? अमाउंट अराइव्ड एट वाज ऑलमोस्ट इक्विवेलेंट टू द फिक्शियस अमाउंट. जितना गैप था बैलेंस शीट में उतने ही की वैल्यू में ये एक्विजिशन शो कर रहे थे. वैल्यूएशन वाज डन इवन फॉर द प्रॉपर्टीज नॉट ओन्ड बाय एमपीएल. द लायबिलिटीज वर नॉट फैक्टर्ड इनटू. ड्यू डिलिजेंस report was not taken into account. Valuation was done for different purpose. Valuation was done on unsigned financial position of MPL. So one is Mitas Infrastructure Limited, that is MIL. Another one is Mitas Property Limited, that is MPL. Out of the sources of fund, rupees 10,961 crore, an amount of rupees 8,842.54 crore, जिसमें sundry debtors थे 2651 crore, cash and bank balance था 5312 crore, and other current assets थे 878.56 crore, were liquid assets which could be immediately utilized for the purpose of acquisition. Only after using the available reserve and raising a loan of 25% of the acquisition cost, the company was supposed to acquire 51% of MIL and 100% of MPL. By having the minimum balance, the company was having only rupees 2944.50 crore after removing the fake amount of liquid asset. And after considering the proposal, borrowing of rupees 1979.52 crore, there would still be a shortfall of 2991.58 crore. इन दोनों कंपनीज को एक्वायर करके जो गैप क्रिएट हुआ था फंड्स का, उसको फिलअप करना था. ये कंपनी की लास्ट प्लानिंग थी जो फेल हो गई थी, जिसको वो नहीं कर पाए थे. अगर इसको वो करते तो ये केस कभी भी ओपन नहीं होता. Valuation of MPL by Ernst & Young. Valuation of MPL was done by Ernst & Young, well-renowned company. Axis FSI is taken, that is floor space ratio. Some of the projects were only on paper. Valuation was done in one single day. Valuation done not as per the guideline prescribed by RBI. Equity value as on 39/2008 was assessed at rupees 6525.30 crore. This is the status of cash and bank balances, जिसको हमने बोला था internal और external audit को check करना था auditors को. The cash and bank balance shown in various banks in the form of current account and fixed deposit was rupees 5160.34 crore for the period 2002 to 2008, while actual balance was only 139.78 crore. Thus, there was difference of rupees 5020 crore. The company was having accounts with 36 banks in India and 7 banks in overseas. The certificate shown to the auditors did not carry details of fixed deposit number. So neither internal auditor nor external auditor verified these deposits with the bank. Then no actual physical fixed deposit existed, not even one. Balance confirmation letter did not tally the amount actually maintained with banks. Balance did not contain account number, no mention about signatories, name and employment number, etc. Interest on fixed deposits. The company has shown accrued interest on fictitious FDRs. The amount shown as on September 2008 was rupees 375.53 crore, wherein actual interest was only 7.42 lakhs. These are the acquisitions that Satyam did. The Satyam had gone for many acquisitions like Citisoft Knowledge Dynamics, NITER Global Solutions, Bridge Strategy, S&V Management Consultant, Nipuna and Medicatos Services Limited. Nipuna Satyam BPO was acquired by the company at very adverse condition. The share of Olympus and Intel, who invested in Nipuna, were purchased by Satyam at high rate. Then selling of shares. This is again a classic case of insider information. The promoters were holding 2.18% of total share as on December 2008, which was 18.78% in 1991. The shares were sold through various brokers and some were Benami transaction. An amount received by the promoters was rupees 767.73 crores. The promoters in planned way sold the shares when the price of the share was high. They resorted to insider trading. The promoters also borrowed the money from NBFCs by pledging the shares of the company. The loans were to the extent of rupees 1,951.46 crore were raised against the pledging of shares. The shares were unloaded through margin calls. The unloading of the shares was done at the instance of B. Ramalingam Raju. The promoter and their families wrongfully gained to extent of rupees 2,743 crores. Then other beneficiaries were V. Srinivas, rupees 32 crores, Ramkrishna, rupees 11.27, and Venthapati, rupees 1.76 crores. The promoter received dividend to the extent of rupees 27.08 crore for the year 7, 8, and 8, 9, where the actual profit after adjustment of fake revenue was rupees 176.12 crore in 7, 8, and 269.16 crore in 2008 and 9. They were not eligible to get the dividend as per Company Law Section 205, but they were receiving this dividend also. 37 companies out of 327 companies had given advance to Satyam to the extent of rupees 1,425 crore between November 6 to October 8. 194.60 crore was returned back to 15 companies between October 8 to December 8. Net amount of rupees 1,230 crore is still outstanding. The borrowing and returning was not reflected in the books, while out of the amount salary, dividend and acquisitions have been made. This is the quantum of loss suffered by the investor calculated by the CBI. Ramlingan Raju ne to 5,000 crore ka bola tha, but the amount is this. The quantum of loss suffered by various institutions and the investor was 14,162 crore on the basis of actual loss suffered by various institutional investors. Loss suffered on account of slide in share price was average price as on 1/9/2009 price was rupees 19.76 and average price as on 16/12/2008 was rupees 227.55. This is what the fall in share price within a month. False income tax liability. The sales were inflated, and in order to get the benefit, the tax paid overseas were shown and deductions were obtained in India. The tax assessment was made without actual verification of the record. The fake TDS is 60.84 crore. TDS भी fake दिखाया हुआ था. Actual TDS is 20 crore. Actual interest 1 crore. Fake interest is 269.01 crore. Fictitious sales were shown as offshore exports. Other income as part of income of US, but actually not included. False claim in overseas tax payment, rupees 329.59 crore. These are the key accused person in this case registered. These are the charges imposed by the CBI. On 10th January, legal proceeding begins. At that time, this is what the highlight.
Well, the answer to that question, many people have been asking, where is Ramalingam Raju, former CEO of Satyam Computer Services? The breaking news coming in right now that Ramalingam Raju has surrendered before the Andhra Pradesh DGP. In fact, he is at the Andhra Pradesh DGP's office even as we speak. Remember, there has been much speculation over whether Ramalingam Raju was indeed in the country or if he had in fact fled the country after giving that disclosure letter to the SEBI and to the board of directors in which he admitted to running a near to 7,000 crore rupee fraud, having cooked the books for as long as 7 years, overstating assets, understating the liabilities. But the news coming in now that Ramalingam Raju, as his lawyer had said, speaking to CNN IBN on Thursday, that he is very much in Hyderabad and is going to cooperate with the investigations. In that letter that Ramalingam Raju had written, his disclosure letter as well, he had spoken about how he's going to be cooperating with the authorities and that law will now take its own course. The confirmation now coming in from Andhra Pradesh that Mr. Raju in fact has surrendered before the police.
This is what basically at that time the proceedings when they begins. So the charge sheet that the CBI submitted is filed on April 7, 2009, supplementary charge sheet on 2009 November, then additional charge sheets. All charge sheets have been clubbed together for fast trial. The cases with additional chief metropolitan magistrate, and now so already decision came in this particular case. Now, We started the discussion of this case relating with Enron and WorldCom. Now let us see the last slide, and then we complied it.
I, in my memory, haven't seen a corporate scam from any large cap index stock of this magnitude.
I think this is unbelievable. It's like please believe it or not.
It's India's Enron, a 5,000 crore rupee fraud that's shaken corporate India, deeply denting the image of India in the global market and eroded the credibility of the IT industry, which sells on good corporate governance. Satyam itself having won several awards. Today Satyam chairman Ramalinga Raju has left that reputation in a shambles.
This is what the case of Satyam is. When we talk about the financial analytics, so financial analytics is not only that analytic that we show on Excel while doing that analytics, but behind the scene, the analytics that you have to do, and then in front, you have to show the complete picture of that analytic, what exactly it looks. So it's not only analysis, but the interpretation of that analytics is also an important whenever we do any such thing, especially in finance, and then correlate it. The idea behind these video clips that we incorporated creates a live atmosphere in the classrooms or whatever a discussion that we made. So with this, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vivek sir, for such a insightful session and case. And I can recall the line quoted by Robin Sharma that nothing feels like success. So it was a deep insight, and also I feel that financial analytics, sometimes it acts like a double-edged sword. So companies, time and over, they utilize financial analytics concepts for their betterment, for the real growth also, as well as sometimes, as like we saw the cases here, companies, they cooked the books of their accounts. Okay, so dear participants, if you people are having any queries for the resource person related with the case, related with the session, please, you're welcome. Dear participants, you are having, any participant is having any query for our resource person, please ask now. Okay. Okay, so I think we will move further. Okay, so I would like to invite Dr. Mansi Kukreja in order to present the summary of this insightful session, as well as giving vote of thanks to Vivek sir. Mansi ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for enlightening us with these type of historical cases in financial world. You discussed with us firstly the 3 scams relating to the accounting fraud, which were the biggest fraud in the history, were discussed. How derivative segments fluctuated during these scams, performance analysis of these fraud. Nature of fraud was also explained by you with the help of case study using facts, figures, videos, and news. You have also enlightened us with the fabricated balance sheet used by these companies during the financial statement analysis, and how they have manipulated their assets and liabilities and even the loan taken by them from the various banks and companies. You also enlighten us with the role of external auditor, which were properly not performed and was not ethical. And this fraud also collapsed the biggest accounting firm in the world. You have also ensured us that how financial performance of an organization should use financial analytics solutions for improving visibility into revenues, expenses, and resources utilization and getting the financial efficiency. So to channelize the investment for stronger profits and business performance. So on behalf of IBMR IPS Academy and entire STP team and participant, I would say a hearty thank you to you for sharing your excellent knowledge with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Over to you, Deputy Ma'am.
Thank you, Mansi ma'am. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Mansi ma'am. And once again, thank you so much, Vivek sir, for such a wonderful insight on the accounting frauds. And now, once again, I would like to give little information about the feedback forms. Participants, this is to inform you that the link for feedback forms for this session is already being floated through the chat box, and also it is shared on WhatsApp group. So kindly fill that feedback form because your feedbacks are always matter to us. And here we are announcing a quick break of 10 minutes, and after we will resume session at 12:05, and our second resource person for the day is Dr. Saurabh Agrawal, and Dr. Agrawal is going to take session on R. Yes, so Dr. Agrawal, he is going to take a session on the introduction to R. So it is my request to all the participants for the better learning. You all can install R software, as it is an open source software. So you, for the better learning, you all can install that software on your devices. And we will resume this session at after 10 minutes from now. So thank you all the participants. Thank you Vivek sir, thank you Mansi ma'am. And we will resume this session after 10 minutes. Thank you so much everyone. Thank you.